In the late afternoon, a municipal waste collection vehicle slows. As it approaches a row of bins placed along a pedestrian corridor, the bins are aligned at regular intervals, each one marked by a distinct color green, blue, yellow. A sanitation worker steps down, briefly lifting lids in sequence, not to inspect contents individually, but to confirm that each bin corresponds to a specific waste stream before the mechanical arm engages. This moment does not depend on verbal instruction or visible enforcement. The system operates through prior agreement. The colors are not decoration. They are part of an infrastructure that extends beyond the street into sorting facilities, transport routes, and regulatory frameworks that coordinate how waste moves through a city. Color coding appears most clearly at the point where individuals and institutions intersect. A person discards an item. The city receives it. Between those two actions, a classification must occur. The color of the bin becomes the visible boundary where that classification is expected to take place. But the stability of the system does not begin at the bin. It begins upstream in the way municipalities define categories of waste. Organic material, recyclable plastics, paper products, general waste. These are not inherent divisions. They are operational categories established by local governments, often influenced by regional processing capabilities and national environmental policy. Once defined, these categories must be translated into something repeatable. In public space, written labels alone are insufficient in environments where movement is continuous and attention is limited. A person walking through a park, exiting a transit station, or passing through a public plaza does not pause to read detailed instructions each time they dispose of something. Color in this context functions as a compressed signal. It reduces a category into a form that can be recognized quickly, even peripherally. Over time, the association between color and category becomes less a matter of conscious recall and more a matter of conditioned response. However, this only works if the signal remains consistent across locations. A blue bin must represent the same category in multiple districts, ideally across an entire city. Without this consistency, the cognitive shortcut breaks down. Users would need to relearn the system each time they encounter it, increasing error and slowing down the process. This is where standardization becomes necessary. Municipal agencies often establish guidelines, specifying which colors correspond to which waste types. These guidelines are not arbitrary. They are chosen based on visibility, differentiation, and, in some cases, alignment with national or international conventions. Once adopted, they are applied across public infrastructure parks, streets, transit hubs, and institutional buildings. The process does not end with installation. Maintenance protocols reinforce the system. Bins are replaced using the same color specifications. Damaged units are repaired or repainted to match existing standards. New developments are required to follow the established scheme. Through these repeated actions, variation is reduced over time. At the same time, the system extends beyond the point of disposal. Collection schedules are organized according to waste categories. Different trucks may be assigned to different streams, or compartments within a single vehicle may be designated for separated materials. At transfer stations and sorting facilities, the expectation that incoming waste has already been partially separated shapes how further processing is designed. In this way, the color of a bin is linked to a chain of procedures that continues long after the initial act of disposal. If the classification at the source is inconsistent, the downstream processes become less efficient. Contamination increases, requiring additional sorting, or leading to the rejection of recyclable materials. Because of this, municipalities often pair color coding with public communication campaigns. Posters, signage, and periodic announcements reinforce the meaning of each color. Educational materials may be distributed in schools or included in community outreach programs. These efforts are not aimed at introducing new information, but at stabilizing an existing pattern of behavior. Over time, the repetition of these signals, visual, procedural, and informational, reduces the need for active instruction. The system begins to operate through familiarity. Yet this familiarity is not universal by default. When individuals move between regions with different color schemes, the assumed correspondence may no longer hold. A color that indicates recyclables in one city might represent general waste in another. This creates a moment of friction, revealing that the system's effectiveness depends on shared standards within a given context rather than on any inherent meaning of the colors themselves. Some regions attempt to address this by aligning their systems with broader frameworks. National governments or regional unions may issue recommendations or directives encouraging consistent color usage. While full standardization across large geographic areas is difficult, partial alignment reduces confusion for users who move between jurisdictions. Despite these efforts, variation persists. Local conditions such as the types of materials processed by nearby facilities or historical practices within a municipality can influence how categories are defined, and by extension, how colors are assigned. The system remains stable not because it is uniform everywhere, but because it is consistent within each operational context. This balance between local adaptation and internal consistency is what allows the system to function at scale. The role of the bin, then, is not limited to holding waste. It acts as a point of coordination. Its color encodes a decision that aligns individual action with institutional processes. Each time a person places an item into a bin, they participate in a classification system that extends beyond their immediate surroundings. The durability of this arrangement depends on repetition. The more frequently the same color category pairing is encountered, the more likely it is to be applied without hesitation. Over months and years, this repetition transforms a designed feature into an expected condition of public space. In newly developed areas, the introduction of color-coded bins often requires a period of adjustment. Initial usage may be inconsistent. Items may be placed in incorrect bins, either due to unfamiliarity or because the distinctions between categories are not yet clear. During this phase, additional signage or temporary guidance may be provided. As usage stabilizes, the need for explicit instruction decreases. The bins remain, but the system they represent becomes less visible as a system. It is no longer something that needs to be learned actively. It becomes part of the background structure of everyday movement. This transition from explicit instruction to implicit understanding is a common feature of standardized public systems. It reflects a shift from design to habit. Even so, the system requires ongoing reinforcement. Changes in waste policy, such as the introduction of new recycling categories or the removal of certain materials from accepted streams, must be communicated and integrated into the existing framework. This may involve updating color assignments, modifying labels, or introducing additional bins. Each change introduces the possibility of disruption. To maintain stability, adjustments are often implemented gradually, with overlapping periods, where old and new systems coexist. This allows users to adapt without a complete breakdown of the established pattern. In this sense, the system is not static. It is maintained through continuous alignment between policy, infrastructure, and behavior. The color coding of public trash bins illustrates how a simple, visual element can support a complex set of coordinated actions. It connects individual decisions to institutional processes, reduces the need for constant instruction, and enables large-scale operations to function with a degree of efficiency that would be difficult to achieve through manual sorting alone. As cities continue to manage increasing volumes of waste and adapt to evolving environmental standards, the underlying structure remains in place. The colors may shift, categories may be refined, and technologies may change, but the principle of using standardized visual signals to guide behavior persists. In everyday use, the system does not draw attention to itself. It operates quietly, embedded in routine actions. A person approaches a bin, recognizes its color, and makes a selection. The action is brief, often unnoticed, yet it aligns with a broader network of procedures that depend on that moment, occurring in a predictable way. This is how the system sustains itself, not through constant visibility, but through consistent repetition across countless small interactions that collectively maintain its structure